The rap world just witnessed two shockwaves back to back. First, the courtroom. Then, the internet. Cardi just walked out of a $24 million lawsuit victorious. A jury cleared her of all allegations in the high-profile case involving her former security guard, a trial that had gripped headlines for weeks. Just when people thought the story was over, another storm hit, this time, not in a courtroom but on the timeline. The long-standing tension between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj has reignited. Subtle shade turned into open fire. And what started as whispers quickly exploded into one of the most talked-about moments in music right now. This isn't just another rap feud. This is a collision of two powerhouses. Two queens. Two fanbases ready for war. Hashtag Cardi B, hashtag Nicki Minaj, hashtag Cardi vs Nicki, hashtag rap drama, hashtag lawsuit victory, hashtag pop culture, hashtag music industry, hashtag rap feud, hashtag Bardi gang, hashtag Barbs. For weeks, the entertainment industry had been glued to one courtroom in Los Angeles. Cameras lined the sidewalks. Fans crowded outside the courthouse. Journalists refreshed their feeds by the second. All eyes were on Cardi. The case had started as a storm of allegations. A former security guard, Imani Ellis, filed a $24 million lawsuit against Cardi, claiming assault and emotional distress. What followed was one of the most closely watched celebrity legal battles of the year. Inside that courtroom, every testimony, every piece of evidence, every lawyer's sentence felt like a headline. Cardi's legal team remained composed. She sat in the front row every day, never flinching, even as the world dissected every frame of her reactions. When the jury returned with their verdict, the room fell into a silence that felt endless. Reporters leaned forward. Fans held their breath. And then it happened. We find the defendant not liable. The courtroom erupted. Cardi B had officially won the case. The aftermath of a win. The news broke out within seconds. Push notifications from every major outlet lit up phones across the globe. Cardi B cleared of $24 million assault lawsuit. Jury sides with Cardi B in high-stakes case. Rapper walks free after legal victory. Fans celebrated the verdict online. Hashtag Cardi wins and hashtag Cardi B trended instantly. Comment sections filled with praise, relief, and messages of support. It wasn't just a legal win. It was a cultural moment, a statement that she had walked through fire and come out untouched. For Cardi, this verdict was more than just legal closure. It was the end of a chapter that had weighed on her career for years. The trial had dragged her name into headlines she didn't control. But now, for the first time in months, the narrative was in her hands again. She walked out of the courthouse with her chin high, dressed in black, surrounded by her team. Cameras flashed. Fans screamed her name. In that moment, she wasn't just a rapper, she was a headline, a symbol of victory. How the industry reacted. The verdict sent ripples through the music industry. Fellow artists tweeted words of congratulations. Producers posted clips of her old performances, calling her a fighter. Even some of her critics admitted that this was a big moment for her. One entertainment journalist wrote, "Whether you like Cardi or not, this is a major win for celebrity accountability narratives. She fought it in court, and she won." But not everyone was celebrating. In the corner of the internet where rivalries brew, the tone was different. There were questions. There were side comments. And, most notably, there was silence from certain camps. Silence that, in the world of hip-hop, often means something louder than words. The fanbase reaction. Bardi Gang, Cardi's loyal fanbase, celebrated online like their team had just won a championship. Hashtags flooded timelines. Fan edits of Cardi walking out of the courthouse in slow motion were everywhere. Accounts with millions of followers framed the win as a power move and a comeback moment. But while Bardi Gang celebrated, the Barbs, the loyal fans of Nicki Minaj, began dissecting every headline. Some accused Cardi of using the case to dominate the news cycle. Others claimed she was playing the victim. Old interview clips resurfaced. The tension between the two fanbases, which had been simmering quietly for months, began to heat up again. She's trying to overshadow Nicki's moment. Cardi always plays innocent. This isn't about music anymore. The feud that had defined so many viral moments in the past wasn't gone. It had just been waiting for a spark. Media builds the bridge. As the hours passed after the verdict, entertainment blogs and gossip platforms did what they do best: connect dots, whether real or speculative. Posts began to appear with titles like, "Will Cardi's win overshadow Nicki's upcoming project?" Fanbases clash again after Cardi's courtroom victory. Nicki Minaj silent as Cardi wins lawsuit. Within hours, Nicki Minaj was trending, despite not saying a word. The world was waiting to see how she would react. Cardi's post-verdict move. 2 hours after the verdict, Cardi broke her silence with a single tweet. "God is good. No names. No shade. Just 4 words." But in the charged world of fan rivalries, those 4 words were enough to set everything ablaze. Some fans saw it as a genuine expression of relief and gratitude. Others saw it as a victory lap. And a certain portion of the internet, particularly Nicki's fanbase, saw it as a shot. Not a direct one, but one loaded with undertones. Comments filled the replies. "Say their names next time. We know who that's for. Don't start a war." Cardi didn't respond. She didn't need to. The noise was doing the work for her. Nicki Minaj's shadow. Nicki Minaj had been quiet through the entire lawsuit. No tweets. No cryptic Instagram stories. No interviews. But in a world where both women dominate headlines, Cardi's win inevitably pulled Nicki into the conversation. Their long, complicated history, chart battles, lyrical jabs, red carpet altercations, meant that one woman's moment always echoed in the other's corner. Nicki didn't post anything in the hours after Cardi's tweet. But fan accounts aligned with her began posting old clips of Nicki interviews. Quotes about "people playing victim" resurfaced. The message was clear: even if she hadn't said anything, the rivalry was back in the air. Why the timing matters. What made this moment explosive wasn't just Cardi's victory. It was the timing. Nicki was preparing to roll out new music. Cardi's courtroom win landed right in the middle of that promo cycle. Media narratives started merging the two stories into one conversation. Nicki's season versus Cardi's comeback. The queens of rap collide again. Cardi didn't name Nicki. Nicki didn't name Cardi. But everyone knew this was headed somewhere familiar. Somewhere loud. The spark is lit. By the end of that night, #Cardi vs Nicki was trending once again. Fan edits from 2018 resurfaced. Reaction channels were posting "history of the Cardi vs Nicki beef" videos. People who hadn't followed rap for years were suddenly tweeting about the courtroom and the feud. The spark had officially caught fire. And this time, it wasn't just music. It was real-world headlines, legal victories, and the weight of two massive fanbases colliding in full view of the internet. #Cardi B, #Nicki Minaj, #Cardi vs Nicki, #lawsuit victory, #rap feud, #Bardi gang, #barbs, #music industry, #pop culture, #clash of queens, #headline moment, #hip hop drama. The internet didn't cool down after I Am Cardi's courtroom victory. If anything, it only got louder. What started as fan chatter had begun to spiral into something bigger, a digital wildfire. In the world of hip-hop, silence rarely lasts. And when two powerful names like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj are involved, it never does. The first sparks online. The first signs of escalation didn't come from either artist directly. They came from their fanbases. Cardi gang and Barb's have a long history of going at each other. Following Cardi's "God is good" tweet, Nicki's fans flooded the replies with sharp comments. Some accused Cardi of taking a victory lap to overshadow Nicki's upcoming music. Others brought up old interviews, old beefs, old wounds. One viral post from a Barb's fan account read, "She loves attention. Every win turns into shade." Cardi gang fired back almost immediately. "She can't celebrate a win now? Y'all love making everything about Nicki." Within hours, these exchanges dominated trending topics. Twitter Spaces were filled with heated debates. Instagram comment sections looked like battlegrounds. Hashtags like #Cardi vs Nicki, #BardiGang, and #Barbs began trending worldwide. Media amplifies the noise. Entertainment blogs and gossip accounts quickly picked up on the tension. Headlines appeared. Fan war erupts between Cardi and Nicki supporters. Nicki Minaj silent while Cardi's win dominates headlines. The queens of rap are back in the spotlight. Podcasters hosted emergency live streams. Influencers made reaction videos dissecting every tweet and Instagram story. Even people outside the rap world started tuning in, because this wasn't just an industry feud anymore. This was pop culture. Nicki's first move. For nearly 48 hours, Nicki Minaj said nothing. Not a word. But then, quietly, she posted an Instagram story. It wasn't a direct statement. No names. Just a black background with white text. "Some people need the moment more than the music." 2 sentences. That was enough. Fans knew exactly who she was talking about. Nicki's ability to throw shade without saying names had always been part of her mystique, and this time, it worked like a spark to gasoline. The story went viral instantly. Screenshots flooded timelines. Reactions poured in from both sides. Barb's celebrated the move as a subtle but cutting message. Cardi gang saw it as an unnecessary shot at Cardi's win. Cardi didn't respond immediately. But the internet didn't need her to. The conversation had already caught fire. Cardi gang's counterattack. Cardi's fans weren't going to let that story slide. Within minutes of Nicki's post going live, Cardi gang accounts started posting receipts of Cardi's chart performance, music stats, and videos from outside the courthouse. Their message was simple. She doesn't need the moment. She is the moment. The fan war reached new levels of intensity. YouTube creators hosted live stream debates with thousands of viewers. People started calling it round 2 of a feud that never really ended. What had started as Cardi's legal win had now transformed into a full-blown online war. The moment Cardi responded. Then came the tweet. 3 days after the verdict, Cardi broke her silence with a simple message. "Some people talk. I work." It wasn't an obvious shot. But in the context of Nicki's cryptic post, everyone knew what it meant. Barb's immediately accused her of instigating the fight. Cardi gang flooded her replies with praise. Blogs turned the tweet into a headline within seconds. Cardi responds to Nicki's shade. The feud officially reignites. Cardi B's tweet sends the internet into a frenzy. Fanbases turn the feud into a show. Cardi gang started creating side-by-side edits, Nicki's cryptic story on one side, Cardi's tweet on the other. Dramatic music. Voiceovers. Hashtags. It felt like a movie trailer. Barb's countered with old clips of Nicki's most iconic interviews and verses. They flooded timelines with reminders of Nicki's legacy. Both sides weren't just defending their favorite artist, they were building narratives. This wasn't just a feud anymore. It was storytelling. It was branding. It was war fought through trending hashtags and digital creativity. Industry voices join in. Soon, other artists and industry insiders started to weigh in, though most tried to remain neutral. A famous producer tweeted. 2 queens. 1 culture. The fans keep this alive more than the artists. An R&B singer posted. Not every win is shade. But in hip-hop, everything becomes a headline. Even this attempt at neutrality added fuel to the fire. Because in feuds like these, silence and neutrality are interpreted as taking sides. Nicki's second move. Just when people thought things might cool down, Nicki dropped a teaser video on Instagram. A 15-second snippet of a new track. No caption. But the lyrics contained one line that made the internet freeze. Queens don't trip over noise from the court. It was subtle. But everyone knew it referenced Cardi's legal victory. Fans flooded the comments. She's talking about Cardi again. This just got real. Bardi Gang and Barbs were back in full war mode. Cardi's reaction. Unlike past incidents, Cardi didn't respond with an outburst. She posted a clip of herself in the studio. No caption. Just a grin and a mic. That was enough. Cardi has always used silence strategically. The lack of a direct response left fans speculating. Was she working on a track? Planning a big interview? Or letting her fans do the talking? Whatever it was, the tension was only getting heavier. Why this moment matters. Cardi B's courtroom victory wasn't just a legal story, it was a cultural spark. Nicki Minaj's cryptic responses weren't just shade, they were statements loaded with history. This feud isn't new. It has deep roots going back to award shows, chart battles, interviews, and a 2018 red carpet altercation that became a defining pop culture moment. What makes this round different is timing. Cardi is fresh off a legal win that put her at the center of attention. Nicki is in the middle of a major musical rollout. Both women are dominant forces in their lanes. That combination is volatile. The internet takes control. By the end of the week, neither Cardi nor Nicki had said each other's names out loud. But their fans had already created a digital war. Twitter trends were relentless. TikTok edits turned their every move into cinematic drama. Headlines were stacking up like dominoes. Cardi B celebrates legal win. Nicki throws shade. Cardi responds. Fans erupt. This was no longer about a lawsuit. It had become another chapter in one of the most infamous rivalries in modern music. Hashtag Cardi B, hashtag Nicki Minaj, hashtag Cardi vs Nicki, hashtag rap feud, hashtag Bardi Gang, hashtag Barbs, hashtag pop culture, hashtag music industry, hashtag lawsuit victory, hashtag rap drama, hashtag cultural moment, hashtag queen energy, hashtag rivalry continues. The internet had already been on fire for days. Fanbases had thrown their punches. Cryptic posts from @Nicki Minaj and sharp tweets from @I am Cardi had turned whispers into trending topics. But what happened next was something no one could ignore. The feud left the timeline and entered the real world: interviews, public appearances, and music. The first public appearance. 2 days after the fan war reached its peak, Cardi made her first public appearance at a fashion event in New York. The media was waiting outside like a pack of wolves. Every microphone, every camera, every flashing light was aimed at her. She knew the questions were coming, and she was ready. A reporter shouted from the crowd. "Cardi, do you have a message for Nicki Minaj?" Cardi paused, smiled, and replied. "I don't talk about people. I work." It was calm. Direct. A line designed to hit headlines without becoming a messy quote. But even though she didn't say much, the effect was immediate. That one sentence became a trending moment. Reaction clips spread across social platforms within the hour. Headlines read: Cardi B addresses Nicki feud at fashion event. Cardi keeps it classy after Nicki shade. The war between queens moves beyond social media. Nicki Minaj breaks her silence. Not long after, Nicki appeared on a live stream for a fan Q&A promoting her upcoming album. It started off light. Questions about music, performances, and collaborations. But everyone knew someone would bring up Cardi. A fan asked, "Do you feel like Cardi is trying to steal the spotlight from your rollout?" Nicki leaned back in her chair. She didn't flinch. She didn't say Cardi's name. But her tone said everything. "Nobody can steal something that's already mine. Queens don't chase. We create." That single quote ricocheted across the internet. It was classy, but sharp. A veiled shot that didn't need to mention a name. Within minutes, #QueensDon'tChase started trending. Barbs celebrated it as the perfect clapback. Bardi Gang accused her of baiting Cardi again. The stage was set for round 3. Music, the real battleground. The tension reached its next level when Nicki dropped a snippet of a new track during the same live stream. The beat was heavy, and one line in particular caught everyone's attention. "Crowns don't fall just because somebody screams louder." The internet exploded. That line, whether intentionally aimed or not, was immediately interpreted as a jab at Cardi. Reaction pages posted slowed-down edits of the snippet. Podcasts called it "Classic Nicki." Even neutral fans admitted, the timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Bardi Gang fired back online, demanding Cardi release her own track. Rumors spread that Cardi was already in the studio. The idea of a musical face-off between the two wasn't just speculation anymore. It was expected. The interview that changed everything. Then came the interview that poured fuel on the fire. Cardi appeared on a major late-night talk show to discuss her legal victory. It was supposed to be about the lawsuit, not the feud. But the host leaned in with the question everyone wanted answered. "There's a lot of noise online right now. Do you feel pressure to respond to what Nicki said?" Cardi didn't dodge. She looked straight at the camera and said, "I don't feel pressure from anybody. I worked too hard to be intimidated by somebody who's been talking." The audience erupted. The internet erupted even harder. That line became a headline in minutes. Entertainment sites pushed stories. Cardi B fires back at Nicki on national TV. Cardi doubles down amid feud with Nicki Minaj. The queens are no longer subtle. Fanbases escalate. By now, the Barbs and Bardi Gang were fully mobilized. Bardi Gang celebrated Cardi's interview as a power move. They edited the clip with dramatic music. They posted side-by-side comparisons of her interview and Nicki's live stream. They declared Cardi the winner of the public moment. Meanwhile, Barbs countered with an avalanche of receipts, old interviews, and Nicki's achievements. They framed Cardi's comments as disrespectful and opportunistic. The feud wasn't just living online, it was dominating every corner of the culture. The industry joins the conversation. When feuds reach this scale, silence from the industry becomes impossible. Other artists and producers started to weigh in, carefully. A legendary hip-hop producer tweeted, "Nicki and Cardi are both icons. What's wild is how the game keeps putting women against each other." An R&B singer wrote, "This isn't just a feud anymore. It's shaping rap culture." Even a few male rappers quietly liked posts or shared cryptic messages, signaling where their loyalties might lie. And then came the ultimate confirmation of how big the feud had grown. Both Nicki and Cardi were now dominating global search trends and streaming conversations at the same time. Every podcast, talk show, and gossip account was talking about them. Award show drama brewing. To make things even more volatile, an upcoming major music award show had both women listed as confirmed attendees. Insiders began leaking details. They would both be performing. Their dressing rooms would be separated. Security was being heightened. Rumors spread that the show producers were secretly hoping for a viral moment between the two. Fanbases prepared themselves for something big to happen that night. This wasn't just a feud anymore. It was shaping up to be an event. Nicki's next move. Nicki made another subtle, but calculated move. She posted a black and white photo of herself wearing a crown with the caption, "They know who started this." No names. No mentions. But the comments section exploded. Cardi gang accused her of dragging the feud for attention. Barbs called it queen behavior. And media outlets ran the headline within the hour. Nicki Minaj posts mysterious caption amid Cardi feud. It was another precision strike. Nicki wasn't saying Cardi's name. She didn't need to. The culture was already saying it for her. Cardi's response. Cardi posted a short studio clip just hours later. A beat in the background. No words. Just a close-up of her hand adjusting the mic. The message was clear, she wasn't going to talk anymore. She was going to rap. Fans on both sides exploded with speculation. Was Cardi about to drop a diss track? Would she respond lyrically for the first time in years? Was this feud about to turn into a full-blown battle on wax? The culture holds its breath. What made this moment so powerful was that neither artist had actually said each other's names. But their presence was enough to ignite an entire culture. Cryptic posts became headlines. Interviews became weapons. Music teasers became battlegrounds. The feud wasn't contained anymore. It was now driving streaming numbers, social media traffic, and shaping how people were talking about hip-hop itself. Both sides, Barbs and Cardi gang, were convinced their queen would come out on top. The rest of the world? They were just waiting for the first verse to drop. Hashtag Cardi B, hashtag Nicki Minaj, hashtag Cardi vs Nicki, hashtag lawsuit victory, hashtag rap feud, hashtag hip hop drama, hashtag Cardi gang, hashtag Barbs, hashtag pop culture, hashtag music industry, hashtag rap battle, hashtag queen energy, hashtag media storm, hashtag clash of queens. The anticipation leading up to the night of the award show was unlike anything the industry had felt in years. Two powerful names, at I Am Cardi and at Nicki Minaj, were on the same stage for the first time since the feud reignited. Social media was buzzing non-stop. Hashtags dominated Twitter trends for an entire week before the event. Live stream commentators, gossip pages, and even major news outlets were counting down like it was a championship fight. This wasn't just another night of music. This was a cultural collision. Security and tension. Inside the venue, the tension was thick. Backstage, security was doubled. Organizers kept both artists' dressing rooms on opposite ends of the building. They didn't want a repeat of the infamous 2018 incident when a red carpet confrontation between the two became front-page news. But despite all the precautions, everyone knew the real fireworks wouldn't happen behind closed doors. They would happen in front of millions of viewers, live. Cardi B's entrance. Cardi arrived first. Dressed in a sleek, all-black outfit with diamond accents, she walked the carpet with her chin high. Photographers swarmed. Reporters shouted questions. One of them inevitably brought up Nicki's name. "Are you ready to share the stage with Nicki Minaj tonight?" Cardi smiled. "I'm here to work." That single line echoed the same tone she'd used all along, no direct call-out, just quiet confidence. But everyone understood what she meant. The internet immediately picked it up. The clip trended within minutes. Cardi gang declared that their queen had won the carpet. Nicki Minaj's arrival. Not long after, Nicki Minaj made her entrance. Her outfit was regal, gold and deep red, a statement piece designed to turn heads. She didn't stop for long interviews, but when a reporter asked if she had a message for Cardi, she tilted her head and said, "The real ones don't have to explain." No names. No direct shade. But her words carried weight. The crowd behind the barricades roared. Barbs filled the timelines with edits before the red carpet segment even ended. Commentators were already calling it a symbolic standoff. The performances. Cardi B was set to perform early in the show. The lights dimmed, and the opening beat hit. Her set was powerful, tight choreography, hard-hitting beats, and moments that felt deliberately commanding. She didn't mention Nicki once, but the energy was unmistakable. Midway through the performance, she paused to deliver a spoken interlude. "A lot of people talk. I let results speak." The crowd erupted. Social media erupted louder. Her performance trended globally within minutes. Cardi gang flooded timelines with "She owned the night" messages. Even neutral fans had to admit, she came prepared. Then, later in the night, Nicki took the stage. Nicki Minaj's statement. Nicki's performance was theatrical. She's known for turning the stage into a throne room, and this night was no different. She performed a medley of hits, but what caught everyone's attention came at the end, a brand new verse. "I don't need the court, I built the crown. I don't chase moments, they write them down." It wasn't a diss by name, but it didn't have to be. The crowd knew. The internet knew. Everyone knew. The line was aimed straight at Cardi's lawsuit victory and the media storm around it. The camera cut to Cardi in the audience, sitting still, expression unreadable. It was the clip that would circulate for the next 48 hours. Social media explosion. The moment Nicki stepped off the stage, Twitter and TikTok became a digital battleground. She came for her. That verse was iconic. Cardi's face said everything. Cardi gang countered with edits of Cardi's performance. Barbs declared Nicki the queen of the night. Influencers posted reaction videos analyzing every bar, every breath, every look. News outlets dropped headlines almost instantly. Nicki throws subtle shade in new verse. Cardi vs Nicki, award show tension reaches peak. The crown is still up for grabs. The backstage moment. After both performances, rumors began swirling about a tense encounter backstage. Insiders claimed that their teams crossed paths briefly near the stage entrance. While nothing physical happened, witnesses described it as icy. No words exchanged. Just two forces in the same space, surrounded by their teams, holding their ground. The lack of footage only made the speculation grow louder. Podcasters, live stream hosts, and gossip pages filled in the blanks. Every second of silence was turned into content. Fanbases in overdrive. Cardi gang flooded their timelines with clips of Cardi's performance, framing her as the underdog who dominated the stage. Barbs responded with Nicki's final verse, framing it as a queen defending her throne. Hashtags like #Nicki vs Cardi, #QueenEnergy, and #Crown Battle were trending at the same time globally. The entire music industry was watching. This wasn't about a single lyric anymore. This was about legacy versus momentum, the throne versus the challenger, two women shaping an era of rap. Industry takes sides. As the night unfolded, subtle alliances became more visible. Some artists publicly congratulated Cardi for her performance. Others reposted Nicki's verse on their stories. A few tried to remain neutral but ended up being pulled into the narrative anyway. A prominent DJ tweeted, "This feels like the new era of rap being written in real time." A producer wrote, "Two icons. One stage. History." Post-award show reactions. Cardi left the event without addressing the performance directly. She posted a photo of herself backstage with the caption, "I said what I said." Nicki, hours later, posted a black screen with a single crown emoji. Their silence spoke louder than any direct exchange could have. The feud had reached its most powerful form, two forces moving through cultural impact rather than open hostility. Why this moment matters. This wasn't just about two artists trading subtle shots. It was about what they represented. Cardi B symbolized the energy of the present, momentum, visibility, raw power. Nicki Minaj symbolized the weight of legacy, influence, dominance, control. Their coexistence on the same stage reminded the world why their names ignite conversations at a scale few others can match. The award show wasn't the end of their feud. It was the centerpiece of a cultural moment. The aftershock. For days after the event, their performances dominated conversation. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. Podcasts broke down their body language. TikTok creators made "Choose Your Fighter" edits. Even traditional news outlets published opinion pieces about what their rivalry means for female rap as a whole. The internet didn't crown a clear winner that night. But it didn't have to. The real story was bigger than a single moment. It was two icons locking their names into history, side by side, whether they liked it or not. Hashtag Cardi B, hashtag Nicki Minaj, hashtag Cardi vs Nicki, hashtag award show, hashtag rap feud, hashtag pop culture, hashtag Bardi gang, hashtag barbs, hashtag hip hop drama, hashtag music industry.